Back to the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. And again, these two guys doing a tribute to one of the great high school basketball programs in the country, led by maybe the greatest high school coach of all time. He has since retired, although he did make it down to Durham for that game at Duke. Morgan Wooten is who we're talking about. But talk about the guys that you played with at DeMatha. And where they are now. There's a lot of DeMatha guys out there putting up big numbers.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're two in the NBA right now. Victor Oladipo, who played at IU, and he's playing with the Magic now. And then my little brother, who's playing with the Sixers. And then we have college guys. We have Quinn Cook, who plays at Duke right now, who's having a great season. James Robinson, the starting point guard for Pitt, who's having a good season. And then the big guy for NC State, B.J. Anya, who's first in the conference in blocks and probably top 5 in the country. And then another kid that's starting at Georgetown, Mikael Hopkins. So definitely a lot of guys out there.
When you go up against your former high school teammates, what is it like?
It's fun. Those are the guys you always play with. So, when you get a chance to go against them, you definitely bring your best.
Why is the DeMatha program so strong? Why does it turn out such great players?
I think because, we play against each other in practice. It's not – nobody's selfish. We're all out there with great players, so we know – everybody can get the ball. We play hard for each other, and it's really a family environment.
I mean, and then this guy could put up much greater numbers. And another thing that I didn't mention, but just in my uneducated layman's view, one of the great things I like about you this year is you, at times in the past, you would force stuff. You haven't forced a thing this year. In fact, there may have been a few times you should have forced something. But is that part of what makes him great? He's a guy who knows he might be the best player on the floor, but he doesn't need to constantly prove he's the best player on the floor.
I think you're seeing a young man who lets the game come to himself. He's had a great balance between when to kick it and when to take it himself. He just sees the game and thinks the game and feels the game at a very, very high level. I'll be honest with you, I don't think anybody else in the country has a feel for the game like this young man. And he's not so young anymore, though, And, he was the youngest guy we signed, though. Yeah. He was really young, and to see him over 5 years, how he's grown. He'll graduate this May. He's going to – I hope I'm in the green room with him up there in New York on the night of the draft. It's just one of the really neat stories of college basketball this year.
And he had that stress reaction during his first year, but there was two reasons. That made it easier, but you really wanted him to get bigger and stronger because he was so young.
It was going to be hard for him to get quality minutes with that team. That was Hansborough and Abramitis and a lot of old guys. And, of course, he wasn't real happy about that. We joked about it today, but we were able to convince him it was in his best interest. And looking back, it's worked out pretty good.
And, again, you went through some tough times. And it's almost a cliche to say things happen for a reason. But I was even joking with Coach. I know it was hard for you not to finish with Eric last year, but I'm not sure this year would have been possible on the heights that this team has reached if last year hadn't happened.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, that was my guy coming in, and I definitely wanted to, help him have a great season. But like you said, this year it helped me become a better leader. I had to help lead the team, and me and Pat, I think, have done a good job doing that. And like you said, the season we're having is amazing.
And also, so the first high school that's tweeted at me, I know the folks at DeMatha, they're busy right now, but they'll be listening and watching. But talk about they've sent great players out into college basketball. They've sent coaches both to high school and colleges all across the country. What is it about that program, why they teach basketball and life so well?
Well, it all starts with Morgan Wooten, who I had the opportunity to play for. He was retired before Jerian got there, but they've got a heck of a coach in Mike Jones, who's kept the legacy alive. But Morgan Wooten was the ultimate teacher coach. And I played for him, and then I went back and coached with him before I went down to Duke in 1987. And I was so fortunate to be around this gentleman. He was at our Duke game. He still stays in close touch. He follows all our guys. He started that program and that tradition of excellence. And there's a lot of pride. Derek Wittenberg, who's at NC State, when we see a lot of DeMatha guys out there, and that's a bond that is really strong. And it's so interesting. I'll tell you how small a world it is. We both had the same senior government teacher,
really?
Doug Shafaley. And I kind of used that on him. I said, if you do come to Notre Dame, I can guarantee you'll probably get no lower than a B in government, because Doug's a big Notre Dame guy. But we had the same senior government teacher. So when I was recruiting him going back to DeMatha, it was so neat. There was so many memories going back there. I taught there. I coached there. I was a student there. Neither one of us are where we are today without DeMatha Catholic High School, 4313 Madison Street, Hyattsville, Maryland. Right, Jay?
For sure, for sure.
And they are hoping to be celebrating again tomorrow. Let's move